Hello and welcome to Bible FPL Champions League edition. Some of you asked for this, and I did really well with the women's Euros over the summer with this sort of concept. So we're going to do it for the Champions League. If you have no idea how this sort of series works, I guess watch some of my previous videos for exactly the full details. But essentially, I have to put together a team of players whose names correlate with books slash authors in the Bible. And then if a player scores, I have in my team, or gets an assist, or gets a return of some sort, like a penalty save, I can do a short Bible talk in relation to the player's name, in relation to the goal time, to basically just bring a little bit of meaning to some of these videos in relation to the Christian faith, as well as putting together a competitive team that hopefully is still going to do well in the competition, which, to be fair, was proven in the Women's Euros that I can still do well with this kind of format in a way that's trying to honour God and bring some meaning to these videos. So, an example could be if, say, Marcus Thuram scored in the 17th minute, I could read from the book of Mark in the Bible, chapter 17, and do a little short talk about that. That's an example of how it would work. So here's how the team looks that I've put together. I think it looks pretty strong again, considering I've got some links to Bible authors and books. Some slightly clutching at straws, such as Mbappe, is going to be our Peter representative for P at the end. There aren't loads of good Peter options, so you kind of have to take what you can get, as well as fielding a strong team with enough justification. So Mbappe is going to be our Book of Peter representative, and he's got the captain's armband on him for, I think it's like the first game of the match day or the match week. You can change your captain, I think, at least once in Champions League fantasy football. So if he doesn't do well, I'll get a second chance of Erling Haaland off the bench. Haaland's one of our only other slightly questionable links. He's going to be our Hebrews representative. HEB. It's got Erling Braut Haaland. He's got all of the initials for HEB for Hebrews and H for Haaland, H for Hebrews. It works enough. So he'll be our Hebrews representative, and he's going to come in for captaincy for Mbappe, because you can do manual subs if Mbappe doesn't do very well for captaincy. So yeah, there's a couple of the initial options. I've already mentioned Marcus Thuram. He's going to be our Book of Mark representative, as we did previously, I think, in the FIFA Club World Cup. Cold Cole Palmer is going to be called Cold Palmer for our series. So he can be a bit of a rogue one that can cover any of the Old Testament books for Cold, Old Testament, and then Palmer. There aren't loads of good Paul options. Paul Pogba might come into the team in the coming weeks, but he's currently not looking like he's going to play any game time. So again, any book that Paul wrote in the New Testament, if Palmer returns, I could read from one of those as well. So he's quite a useful option for us, and he's just back from injury as well. So yeah, I think he looks like a good player as well in the game. Joshua Kimmich obviously represents the book of Joshua in the Old Testament, and he's very good for ball recoveries and things, so I think he'll be useful in our team. Brennan Johnson can read from one of the books that John wrote if he returns in said goal time. He got benched at the weekend for Spurs, so I'm hoping that means he might get some minutes in the Champions League. He may start the game, and he scores goals. He scored the winner in the European final last year, so let's see how he does for us. Then we got Moses Caicedo. He's going to be our representative. Moses wrote, I think, the five books, or at least is accredited with the five books in the Old Testament. So if he gets a return for us, we can read from one of the first five books in the Old Testament. We got another mark option in Marquinhos for PSG. We've got Reece James as our James coverage, Book of James in the New Testament. We've got Jonathan Tah as another Book of John or Books of John representative. And then we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, another Old Testament representative. I mean, the Old Testament's pretty big, so we do need some Old Testament coverages. So we've got some Old Testament coverage with Palmer, with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and then Joshua Kimmich is an Old Testament one. Moses Caicedo is another one. So there's a bit of coverage there. And same again also with David Raya. David in the Old Testament wrote like a lot of the Psalms. So yeah, he gives us some coverage for the Psalms, which are quite well known Old Testament passages. So yeah, David Raya will cover. But yeah, books that David wrote, like the Psalms. And then in goal, we've got another goalkeeper in Lucas Chevier. So he'll cover the book of Luke for us if he makes a penalty save in said time. We've talked about Haaland. Marcus Llorente is another mark option. And then Mateus Nunes is going to be a Matthew option. And I believe we've covered all of the books in the Bible with this team, other than Jude, because Jude Bellingham is currently out injured. So when he's back fit, we'll slap him straight in the team. And for now, I suppose maybe one of the J options like Jonathan Tah, Joshua Kimmich, could be some kind of coverage for the Book of Jude. But I think there's only one chapter in Jude, so the chances of us reading from it anyway are quite slim. So we'll wait for Jude Bellingham to come back to see if he unlocks the Book of Jude for us in a more sort of obvious way, if you like. So yeah, that's the team. Appreciate it's quite a creative concept, but I hope you can see the heart behind it. Basically, with each video I do, I will do a rundown of how the team went. I'll do a rundown of my transfer plans, and I'll do a little short talk from the Bible in relation to one of the return times that links to one of the Bible passages in a way that I've explained already. So, yeah, hopefully this team can do well, and hopefully, yeah, you can receive some meaning and some kind of insight into the Christian faith as part of these videos. Yeah, do like and subscribe if you're interested in the creativity of this concept and you'd like to tune in to see how the team does and also to hear some sort of Christian Bible content alongside it. I do the same for the Premier League fantasy football. If you want to tune in some of my other videos as well. But yeah, for now I think I'll leave it there before this video is too long. Do pop in the comments if you have any questions or yeah, suggestions for this series. I'm always up for hearing it. But for now, yeah, I do hope you have a good game week on Champions League fantasy football. And I guess yeah, I'll catch you guys for the summary as to how this team's done on the next one. And probably before that, there's going to be a Premier League review for how I did at the weekend with that. So yeah, also like and subscribe if you want to tune in and get some notifications for that. So yeah, I'll leave it there for now. Have a good week. See you soon.